Listen to those island beats in the background. Look at that. That's, you know, a little bit of reggae style, a little bit of island, strong island, as I like to say. I've been here my whole life. We were just talking about that, man. Where are you from, Tommy D? I'm from Long Island. I'm from Franklin Square. So my whole life I've been on this island. I think I left for like 6 or 7 days for vacation once, but that's about it. This show is called Long Island Changemakers, and I'm a bit of a Long Island Changemaker. I bring guests on the show that are Long Island Changemakers that are doing great work in the community, in the world. And you know, the thing about me is, as being a big networker and a connector, I meet people in all different aspects or facets of my life, I guess you say. And a couple months ago, my friend Eileen Minogue mentioned that Sherry from her team was going to be up here from the book fairies up on the North Shore at a Kiwanis meeting, and it was not the Kiwanis that I'm becoming a member of, but I showed up anyway because it was right in my neighborhood, and I was visiting, and it was this cool place called Janine's. Shout out to Janine's in like Seacliff, Glen Cove area. Janine is great. Pizza's real good, brick oven pizza, but that's a whole other thing. We'll talk about that later on. But I get to meet people in all different aspects of my life, and Kristen Schaefer was there because of your connection to book fairies and your connection to literacy. Glen Cove schools, right? The easy for me to say. I told you I was going to make this fun. ELA for K through 12. You're the coordinator in that program, which is English Language Arts.
Yes.
Okay, good. So I got that part ready. It was easy for me to say it too, apparently, huh? So we met, and I know sometimes I'm so caught up in like thinking people sometimes know who I am. So I was like, oh my God, we don't know each other. Oh, you know what it was too? When we were sitting at the table, they had the buffalo calamari.
Yes.
And I ate like the whole bowl of the buffalo calamari.
Yes,
Remember that? And I was like, and you know, you're like, who is this guy? He's loudmouth. He's taking pictures. He's eating all the buffalo calamari. And I was like, look, you don't know me, but they mentioned who you were and things like that. I said, you don't know me, but based on the work you're doing, I'd love to have you on Long Island Changemakers. And you know, you got to do your due diligence, and then obviously check with your team and things like that. But I'm happy you're here because what I consider Long Island Changemakers are sometimes people who are in the business world, some people who are in the nonprofit sector, and I think you're probably one of the fewer people, if not the first person, that's in like the direct like education space. And I'm raising 4 kids, and not too far from the Glen Cove schools. And the thing that stands out for me is, as it relates to book fairies, and I want to hear your connection with that and all the work you're doing, as it relates to them, literacy is a game changer for people, and it changes people's socioeconomic conditions. And having known Amy Zaslansky, the founder of Book Fairies, for many years, and my friend, my other friend Eileen Minogue, who is the executive director, they do such incredible work. You were part of bringing Book Fairies to the Glen Cove district, is that right?
No, I wasn't.
You weren't,
actually.
okay.
I was there when I transitioned to
Okay.
my work in Glen Cove. I'm starting my 4th year.
It's starting your 4th year.
Yeah.
So what is your background? Tell me about that.
So I always wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
I loved reading ever since I was little.
Yeah.
It was like my escape.
Yep.
I would go to the library in the summer. I was actually just telling teachers the other day, I was the student in 2nd grade who had her book like under the desk.
Under the desk.
Yes,
yeah.
reading.
Some people are reading a comic book, or now they're probably watching something on their phone.
Yeah.
No, you were down there like hiding a book.
Exactly. So I always knew I wanted to be a teacher. I went to NYU for English education.
Did you grow up here on Long Island?
I did.
Okay.
I grew up in East Islip.
Okay.
And so
you went to NYU, great, very cool. Yep.
It was a little bit of a discussion with my family
about going into the city?
And going away to school, but I convinced them.
Yeah.
And so I did 4 years there, and when I graduated, I really wanted the opportunity to travel.
Okay.
I had done a semester abroad, and so I was talking with one of my advisors who did the student teaching placements, and he's like, you should check out the Peace Corps.
Did you do Peace Corps?
I did. I was a Peace Corps volunteer.
This is what I love about this show. This is what it is. We get this. So how long did you do that, and where were you?
2.5 years. I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Ukraine.
Wow.
Yeah. So I taught English to 5th to 11th graders.
I had friends. I still have friends, but these particular friends, they actually have people from Ukraine living with them now because they did Peace Corps in Ukraine.
Oh, really?
And they met Kevin and Kelly Hesseltine.
Okay.
They met at the Peace Corps, and then became a couple, and now they're married with children.
Okay.
You know, What a trip, that Ukraine. So who knows what time, like, when they went, I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like? What is Peace Corps like?
The slogan is, "It's the hardest job you'll ever love."
Okay, I like that.
Which is very true.
Yeah.
You know,
where are you living? Like, are you living in like?
So you live with a host family for the first 3 months, and you're living in like a training cluster. So
Okay.
you have lessons in. I learned Russian. Other Peace Corps volunteers were learning Ukrainian because of the way the country speaks their language. Many of the oblasts in the eastern part of the country speak Russian first, and then they, of course, know Ukrainian.
Sure.
And so I was placed in the east, and Peace Corps Ukraine was the first program where we had 2 host families because
Okay.
of how complex it is to learn the language there.
So because you had to learn each?
No, you're learning one.
Yeah.
They're very similar. After a while, you can see some of the similarities. Some
Right.
of the letters are similar. Some of them are different. Some of the words are similar. I would categorize it as like a Spanish-Portuguese kind of similarity.
Yeah. Are you somebody who's like, were you into languages, or that came out of going to Peace Corps?
Partially.
Yeah.
I mean, I took Spanish in high school,
Right.
and then when I was in college, I worked at a school and kind of had the opportunity to immerse myself in Spanish in
Sure.
the community. I worked at a school on the Lower East Side,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
I had a lot of practice, but I had no experience with Russian. It's a completely different alphabet.
Right, it has nothing to do with what we're used to, right?
Correct.
Because even like you take Spanish, or my children are studying Italian and things like that. Like, yeah, it's the same letters.
Right.
These are different letters. So that's like that's like going to like another planet, another world. It's a totally different alphabet. Yeah.
And like I thought that learning the language and adjusting to the environment was going to be the hardest piece.
Yeah.
But it was really the difference of the people.
Culture, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, I mean, I went to school in New York City. I grew up on Long Island. Like,
Sure.
you know, people, like, sometimes they smile at you, maybe
Right.
they don't, but you can make eye contact sometimes
Yeah.
there. It's very different.
What, meaning because they knew you were a foreigner, or?
I think so, a little bit. And also just a little bit of, like, distrust.
Yeah.
And so very much of, like, I'm in my own lane. I'm going to the market and I'm coming home.
And that was it, yeah. So did you, when you're in Peace Corps like that, is there community amongst the folks who are in it, like your peers who are there?
Yeah, so at the start you have 3 months of training and you're actually considered a trainee. You live in a smaller community. We lived outside of Kyiv, the capital, so we had 4 other trainees. We all lived with different host families. We had a language facilitator who taught us daily language lessons.
Were you prepared at all from a language perspective going over there?
No.
Right, but you knew you were going to Ukraine?
Yes.
Got it. I mean, you could have, like, you had enough time, or not even real, like, how?
I think I found out in late August, and we left at the end of September. So,
Right, so
I
it
mean,
wasn't
they
gonna- you
sent
weren't
us
gonna-
like a packet
Right,
with
but
like, these are the letters.
It wasn't going to make a lot of impact, is what I'm,
No, I was not learning
Yeah,
the language
right.
in 4 weeks.
And again, I've always heard like immersion is the best way, but again, it's got to feel alienating too when you have no context of what's going on. And even if people are welcoming, I still don't know what the heck they're saying.
Yeah, I mean, my host families were amazing,
Yeah.
But it was
Did they speak
definitely-
English?
The first woman I lived with, she was an older mom. She had older daughters. She did not speak English. Her daughters did, and they would come and visit. And then the second family I lived with was the daughter actually went to the school that I taught at, so she spoke English, but the mom, the dad, the grandmother who lived with them and did all the cooking, no. But
So how do you communicate in those types of environments? I mean, this is some, not to date either one of us, but it was like a time, was there Google Translate yet?
no, there is no.
Right. So what do you do?
The iPhone, I remember, it was actually invented while we were
is that
there.
right?
It was
Okay.
like released, and we were all excited because we were going to come back and get iPhones.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot of really learning the language.
You had to, I guess. That's what, when we talk immersion, you had to survive and be able to communicate.
I mean, I remember the first day I had like the workbook, that the Peace Corps provided for us. And like I was with my host mom at the time, and I was like pointing to different things that like I wanted to say, and then she would do the same.
Okay.
But we learned a lot, and I thought that it was going to be hard, but it was actually very
experience.
supportive.
What was the full amount of time you were there?
Like 2.5 years. Yeah.
And is that typical? That's what people say? That's so that's right after college?
Yes.
Wow. And when someone does it, they make a commitment to lock in for that? So you know going in, you're going to be somewhere 2.5 years? Wow. And what was it that you went to that part of the world? How did that happen?
Because of my like technical expertise. So Peace Corps matches volunteers based on what will meet the goals of the host country.
Okay.
So they have an agreement with the host country and saying, what are your needs? Ukraine had 3 programs: TEFL, teaching English as a foreign language, youth development, and then business development. So because I had majored in English in college, I was a certified teacher, I was going to go to a country that had an education program, and it just happened that Ukraine was the one that was closest to my like departure time, and so that's how they like match you.
Wow. So my cousin, he lived in South Korea for probably a couple of 3 years like that, and taught English. And same kind of thing, like he didn't speak any Korean. Another friend of ours, Matt, went with him, and they stayed for a few years. Like it was just it was like a thing to do,
right.
You know, and it was cool, and they got paid and stuff like that. So it was just, he lived there, he loved it there. I've never left this island. I think I started that. I think I started the show just now saying that. So it's interesting how people go do things. What did you learn from that experience?
I think an appreciation for what we have here in the U.S., and then also for differences and other cultures, and that at the end of the day, people are people, and you know, even though at first there was a little bit of feeling like, okay, there's a barrier to break, like you make those connections and you become friends, and even when the language isn't perfect, you find ways to communicate, you find shared interests. I mean, my host family, we would watch like basically like soap operas at night, and then talk about the characters, and you know, that would be a way to also practice language and have that shared experience. So
I worked in restaurants a lot growing up, and I know that some of the guys, you know, who were Spanish-speaking men in the kitchen didn't speak any English. And then they worked there for a couple of years, and they learned a lot of their English from like watching sitcoms and stuff like that, which is like, again, like that's like the silliest part in a lot of our language, and but that's how people learn. Yeah, just being in it, being immersed in it. Yeah. Wow. When you were coming back, what did you want to do next?
So then I wanted to continue teaching. So I had the opportunity to do some substitute teaching while I was figuring out my grad school plans. And then I got a job teaching on the Lower East Side, actually the school I had worked at in college. So I taught there for a number of years. I taught then in Brooklyn, and high school English is like my passion.
Why? What is it about high school English? The literature?
Like the literature, but also like getting kids excited about finding a book that they like. And if they don't like it, being able to explain why. I used to tell my students all the time, you don't have to like every book. But
why?
But why don't you? You have to be able to explain why you don't like it.
Yeah, that's great. And that takes critical thinking, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so that teaches us, like, you wanted to know, but at the same time you wanted to teach them a skill set that they could be able to explain. Not just like, I don't like it, right?
Exactly. Like, I don't want to read this, right?
Yeah, this sucks. No, that's not exactly what we're looking for. Wow, that's special. How do you end up out here on the island?
So after I was teaching in Brooklyn, and then I went into a leadership program in the city. So I was working towards getting my school building leader. So that means
what does that mean?
Like an assistant principal, a principal. Okay. It's additional schooling. I ended up getting a second master's. So that
in what is that in?
Master's of Education.
Master's of Education. Okay.
Yeah. And so what that allowed me to do was then I got an AP position.
Okay.
So I was an assistant principal at a high school in the Bronx for 6 years. And then this opportunity presented itself actually through a former colleague of mine.
Were you living out on the island? So that,
no, I had been living in Brooklyn, and
Yeah.
then when I transitioned to the school in the Bronx, the commute from
yeah, you had to go to, you had to move to the Bronx, right?
So I moved to Manhattan.
Okay, yeah.
Compromise.
Yeah. No, because that's a heck of a commute.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was a very long ride, and then when you're getting to work early, staying late.
Yeah, it's a long day.
You know, the subways all working at, you know, the best.
Yeah.
It was an hour and a half.
Right, and then
on a good day.
and you don't get that all the time. Yeah.
So then I was told by a former colleague who worked in the district, I worked with her in Brooklyn, she had been an assistant principal there, that there was an opening in Glen Cove, and I loved my school in the Bronx, but it was post-pandemic. I had been doing a lot of work. One of our APs had gone on maternity leave and didn't return. So I was doing a lot of administrative responsibilities, which I love, like scheduling, budgeting, but the curriculum piece was not as prevalent.
Right.
And that's what I'm really
And that's where you want to be. You want to be in curriculum. Yeah. So this role came up, was this ELA coordinator. That's where you came right into that role, right, when you came out to the island. So when I first met you, it was, as we talked about, through this thing with the book fairs where they were educating people, and I was very taken with the book fairs over the years, and I've known them for a long time. And you know, my children in the North Shore School District, there are libraries in the schools, there are libraries in the classrooms, right? There's a library basically in my house. You know, I know there's one in the attic where my office is. I have books everywhere, and then my children's books everywhere in the house. That's not typical.
Right.
Right? Here on the island, that's not typical, right? So did you experience some of that lack of books and resources in your district?
Yeah, and I think a lot of it had to do with coming out of COVID, you know, maybe the priority of classroom libraries, materials, having access to those updated books wasn't maybe the #1 priority at that time, right? Think about when kids couldn't talk to one another or had to stay 6 feet apart, right? So there had been a lot of movement towards using technology and having access to things online.
So the actual paper and cardboard was like not as prevalent.
Yeah, and I think also, you know, books, they get old, right? They become yellowed, and like some of those are our favorites, but also some of those aren't the most attractive.
Well, if they become less attractive, we're not going after them for sure.
And I think the other part is that, you know, our community doesn't necessarily have the access to books at home that everyone does. So, you know, Book Fairies has provided us with an amazing opportunity to extend books going home with students.
There was an event when Book Fairies gave away, they're now into their 5 millionth plus book, but maybe it was 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, it was at one of your schools in Glen Cove that they gave away their 4 millionth book, and I happened to get the opportunity to be there because I'm friends with the leadership team, and I was like, I really want to be there, and they said, cool, Tommy D, you can come through. There was like a golden ticket, right? Were you there that day?
Yes, I was.
Yeah. So so that was special. I don't know what it's something Avenue School, right?
It was Connolly Elementary.
Connolly Elementary, thank you. It's, I don't know if I told you this story. I'm there with Eileen Minogue, the executive director, and I'm talking to this young man. You know, I have 4 kids, so at the time he's probably the age of one of my children at the time. You know, and it was like a Dog Man book, or I don't know, one of these other books like that my son reads. You know, and the books that the Book Fairs brings out, it was a book fair. So at the book fairs, they got their primo books, right? They're like almost mint condition, right? And he comes over, and this young guy, and he's like, "Oh my God, you know, this is like Dog Man, like '97 or something like that, right?" Because I got all these books, and I was like, "Yeah, you like those?" I said, "My son likes those books." You know, he was, "Yeah, but I had this book from the library, and I didn't finish it, but I like whatever the rule is, like he wasn't able to take it back out of the library again." And he's like, and he hadn't been able to finish it, and he was like so grateful to have this. It's his book now. He's taking it home with him. He was so grateful. And I don't remember his name. I'd say it's Johnny. And I go, "Johnny, can I introduce you to my friend Eileen, and can you tell her that story? And I'm getting emotional because I did that day. I said, Eileen, you have to hear this story from Johnny. And that's what they do, and that's like the life-changing stuff. And now he has his book, and he gets to go home and read it, and it's his. He doesn't have to worry about. And not everybody has access to go spend $16 or $12 or whatever it is to just buy him that book, you know. And now his family didn't have to buy it; it was given to him. That, excuse me, that's the game-changing stuff that people in your position and nonprofits like book fairs are able to change people's lives.
Yeah. They've been instrumental. So they have a books to home program, and that book fair that you came to is a part of that. So twice a year they come to 3 of our 4 elementary buildings. We're looking, every year we've expanded the partnership. So next year we're going to get our 4th building in on this, and they have 2 book fairs where they have all brand new titles, and then other book fairs where they have their like gently used ones.
Right.
And so every month.
It's so just to interrupt, like, you're from Long Island. I'm from Long Island. I say we're the same era, maybe, right? So we knew the Scholastic Book Fair, and I still know it because I still. First of all, I can't believe they're still like printing it on that same piece of paper that they did in 1987, but it's still on that like piece of paper. But and to be honest, like, my wife sometimes goes like, I'm not sending in $30. So. Because it's not everybody has resources, and some of us who might have resources don't have all the resources for $30 for 4 kids to go buy books, right? So that replaces those book fairs. The book fairs does the need for like the Scholastic Book Fair, right? So in districts that may not have resources,
I mean, we still have our PTA still run the Scholastic Book Fairs, and those happen usually once or twice a year. But this provides more regular access to books. And we are then able to staff like little carts of books in our entryways. We have, you know, our teachers and myself who, when we go to the monthly book fairies fair, can get.
Do you go every month?
Not every month.
But you go with like suitcases and the whole thing?
I bring fresh direct bags.
Okay. So for those people who don't know, now I worked, my older daughter and I, we worked at a book fair, book fair, which is at the Place Gang. It's in Freeport at the facility, which is just, if you've never been, it's the coolest thing. They're always looking for volunteers. And the thing about it is, you know this, but people who are watching don't know, you're not limited to what you can take. Take all the books you need. There was a story of a school in, I'm pretty sure it's Jamaica, Queens, excuse me, and it was a new school. So each book fair they would come and they were building out like the 1st grade books or the kindergarten books and then 2nd grade books, right? And it was just so unbelievable. Suitcases, people coming from the Bronx, people come from all parts of the city. I'm sure people come from maybe Jersey and stuff like that. But like bags and bags and bags of books. It's so important. What's been the impact of some of that stuff?
It's been amazing. I mean, this year alone, we've gotten 39,000 books from book fairies. So we've been able to staff or stock our libraries and our classrooms when we need certain books. I mean, we do have a budget for books, but like anything else, budgets are finite, right? And books are expensive. So oftentimes I go with a shopping list of like, my 2nd grade teachers want insect books for a unit that they're doing. 3rd grade teachers need series books. And so that supplements.
And then what are the hot ones that the kids want now? Like the I said Dog Man because I know that's one, but there's another one. Oh, Bad Guys. The Bad Guys.
Kitty.
Oh, I don't know Bad Kitty, but
like Bad Kitty.
All right.
Catman.
Yeah. So and they're like graphic novels, which is, to be honest with you, if that's better than a device. Right? And I can tell with my youngest, he loves storytelling, right? Because he likes to read, but he doesn't do it enough. But he likes to watch shows. So I know I like stories too, so I can understand and relate to that. But we gotta read, man. We gotta read.
And you know, we're talking a lot about maybe primary, elementary, but something that we've also done in our district is that we've brought back independent reading to our high school. And Book Fairies has helped us build also our high school classroom.
What do you mean? What's that mean when you say independent reading?
So an opportunity during class, usually at the start. Most teachers do it for the first 10 minutes, where students have choice. Where they can pick a book.
So this is not the book that we're reading as a class. This is my book, right? This is what I'm into right now.
Yeah, so again, like, I had a student a couple years ago, a teacher told me, was reading The Art of War.
Wow, Sun Tzu.
Yep.
Wow.
And she was collecting, she would do a challenge where every month she'd let the students give her suggestions based on what they read, and then she'd, put it on one of those like spinning wheel things on the computer, and she was worried that The Art of War was going to be.
And then everybody had to read The Art of War?
Because then she would read it.
She was going to read it. She's like, no.
Yeah.
Man,
so, I mean, that gave ownership. And going back to even what I was saying before about like my philosophy as a teacher, like I want you to be able to find a book that you like. If you don't like it, explain why.
Yeah.
But like also like we probably don't like to read the same thing.
Yeah.
But we maybe like to read. So this gives students that opportunity to find what they like to read.
Well, because isn't that the whole point of this? Like, if you're enjoying it, you're going to do more of it, right? And what are we trying to teach them to do is just to use that part of your brain to take in information. We're going to run out of time, so I want you to just kind of leave us with, like, kind of the future of the work you're doing and maybe some of the things you need from a district perspective, like maybe connections or relationships.
Yeah. I mean, something that we've done is just about expanding access to books.
Yeah.
So we had every December we have a community book fair. Book Fairies has also helped us with that, where anyone from the community, whether you have students in our schools or not, can come and get books, and then our National English Honor Society gift wraps them for the holidays. We've opened 3 little free libraries in Glen Cove.
Okay.
So one at Morgan Park,
Sure.
One at Prybles Beach, and one at Big Ralph Park. 2 of those are in collaboration with the Youth Bureau. So, we've been making some connections with the city, and they're really supporting this.
That's great.
And, moving forward, we're really looking to get more little free libraries out there.
And what is that? Is that like a little booth, like one of those?
Yeah.
It's great.
Actually, the first one that we did, our students painted it and designed it. It has like a sea theme because it's right by the beach at Morgan Park.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I think this is great. I'm really glad I met you. This is great work you're doing. Maybe in September I can come through and see some folks and things like that. Because my whole thing is like, this show is about Long Island Changemakers, but my other show, Philanthropy and Focus, it's about focusing on nonprofit organizations and the great work we're doing. So you're sort of like right at that crossroads of all that. So I appreciate you doing this. I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for being here. This show, I tell you, is called Long Island Changemakers with Tommy D, which means I got to be on every episode because my name's in the title. This has been another In Focus production. I'm going to keep bringing you great people doing great work here on Long Island. Make it a great day. I'll see you guys later. Bye.